Okay, welcome back to the RB20 build. Quite a lot has happened since I ended my last video. I ran into some camera issues, lost some stuff, and I had some friends come over and we got a little carried away and kind of lost my process on camera, so I'd given up on it a little bit, but I'm back now and I'm gonna give an update what I got done. But my focus here today is actually not the bottom end, but it's the top end. So this is my old RB20 all-wheel drive block out of my GTS4, which is it's buried right now. But I've lost some parts from this motor that are on this one that I'm gonna have to steal. So I'm over here rebuilding the top end, or my head. This head here has been has had clearance made for a high lift camshaft, so I got 272 John camshafts for this motor I'm building. So they've all the journals have been cleared here, and I've got John high performance springs as well, and most of them are in there. But as I was going along, I got 90% of the way done, and this one here I'm missing the spring retainer as well as the spring seat. There's a washer underneath the seats it's on. So I've got those parts ordered, but instead of waiting for them to come back, unfortunately I gotta take this head off and steal some parts from this head, and then when the parts come I'll replace them on this engine. This head has been refurbished as well. It's been surfaced and the valves have been lapped, and it's got new seals and valve stems. It's ready to go. It's just it's not clearanced for my big camshafts. So now I'm gonna hope that when I take it apart that the head gasket isn't ruined, and I'll steal just one of these off the intake side so I can finish my other head. Yeah, that head has had like a pocket polish or whatever they call it. All the exhaust restrictions have been removed. The domes have been polished, and as well as the exhaust runners. But nothing really done on the intake side. Might as well do a little update on the 20 I'm building. So I've got my N1 oil pump installed, new water pump, old alternator, like engine mounts. I've got oil filter, whatever, regular things. New low temp thermostat. I got our pistons in with the rings that we gapped on video. So all 6 pistons. It's my oil restrictors, and yeah, I've pretty much got the bottom end all glued up. Unfortunately, I didn't show my process of doing the plastic gauge for the crank bearings or anything. Oh yeah, new main seal too. But yeah, I'll flip it over and get an update of that as well. Okay, so you can see here I got the girdle and all our ARP hardware in place. It's all torqued down, it's ready to go. I've also got this all-wheel drive. It's a spool all-wheel drive adapter plate installed, so I can fit my all-wheel drive sump on this motor. I don't know if anyone's ever done a all-wheel drive 20 with an adapter, but I'm doing it. So yeah, so all there is to plastic gauge is you gotta when you go to put the girdle on, you just put a thin piece of plastic gauge, and for this engine it's green plastic gauge. So, right, and it's just this like thin strand of plastic, like rubber, I guess, and you put it in between the journal bearing and the crank bearing, and you just torque it down to spec, and whatever it spreads to, the width, is the clearance you get. Okay, so I actually got some here, and you measure it with these little spaces here. Okay, so that shows in millimeters. I don't know if there's actually any plastic gauge in this or not. Oh yeah, it's all broke up. But yeah, it's just this little green things you put on the bearings, and you squeeze it together, and whatever width it is your clearance. So a wider square is a tighter clearance. So all mine were within this one here. So that's all by spec. So yeah, I'll set up camera and show taking off the head, as well as taking the valve train apart, and I'll also show how I've been putting the valve train back together. I don't have the appropriate Nissan RB tools for this, so I kind of figured it out on my own, and there wasn't really any information online about it. So I figured, like, if I was gonna record any part of the process, that I felt it was important to do this part, just clear it up for anybody else who's trying to do an RB20 head at home. Alright, I'll set it up. Alright, so there's a specific sequence you're supposed to take these bolts out. I did check my manual right there behind me. So you're supposed to, it says you go from the outside in, and you're supposed to do it in 2 steps, but yeah, I'm just going to loosen it up and pray that my head gasket is alright. So I don't recommend using an impact to take stuff like this out. I already got it loosened up, so I think it's okay in that case. I wouldn't use it to break the nuts, but alright, I made a spot over here. Put some old t-shirts down just to protect the head, just in case. I'm just gonna lift it over and hope my gaskets are okay. It's probably gonna be heavy. Okay, something going on. Those bolts must still be in. Alright, there's no way they're still tight now. If there's something else hooking up, it might be something else. There we go. Yeah, it's not like lift with your legs, not your back. Yeah, this gasket is totally reusable. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. This gasket was literally just put on a little while ago, so cool. Alright, so all you need for this, well, what I've done for it is I have this 7/8 socket that I've cut the side out of. So it's probably a third of the socket, cut it out. It's covered in assembly lube. I have this small magnet on the end of like a stick, so I have a spring compressor that this will push the retainer in, or it'll push the cap down with the spring, and I'll use this, go inside and take the retaining clips off with the magnet and pull them out. So this is my valve spring compressor. Right, so this socket will sit here like this, push the spring down, and this seats against the valve. I just got some electrical tape on it just in case. I don't want to scratch anything. And you screw it in slowly, push the valve, spring and retainer and seat and everything together. Use your magnet to get the retainer clips off, and then you go to putting it back together on the other head. And so the only difference is when you're putting it back together, when you have everything pushed together, you gotta get the retaining clips in here and then onto the seat. Alright, I got the camshaft cap out of the way. So now I need this valve here. I need the retainer and the seat for the spring. So that's what I'm gonna do on the other head. Just take your socket, put it down in the journal for your lifter. Right. Line up this with the bottom of the valve. Okay. Usually, let me see here. I'll get the camera. You can see the socket down in the hole for the lifter. And as you tighten this down, it'll push the socket in further until the retaining clips come loose. If you watch carefully, you might actually see the socket going. I'll try not to stand away. Right, it's compressed fully. So now I just take my magnet, reach in there, until the clips come off. Right, so that's one retaining clip. And now that's two. So I got two clips there. Alright, so now we're going to put it back in. I'm going to put I got the washer or the seat in, so now I just got to put the spring, the cap, and the retainers in. So this is where this comes in, this socket that's cut out. You're going to put the spring in on top of the seat with the cap on it. Put it on just like we did before, push it down. But now you're going to use a knife. So I got this little X-Acto knife, and I'm gonna put a little tiny bit of grease on the tip, and I'll stick the retainer to it, and I'll look through my window, and I will seat it on the valve. So the valve has a little indentation on it that holds the retaining clips. So I'll just throw it all in there now, and I'll show you the retainer. John high performance, high tension spring, whatever you want to call it. It's the retainer, or the cap.
You.
Okay.
Ew.
Oh, thank you. Show the piece that hooks the edge of the valve there. Oh, it looks good. Yeah. I bet you it was good. Make sure this is centered. Okay, so you can see the end of the valve stem there. And the retainer is pushed down. Now you take your, get your grease. Smear some on the inside so it sticks. And put a bunch on the knife so that your clip sticks to the knife. And get your flashlight and look down into your window. See a little window. And put it in there. And it sticks on because of the grease.
Don't do that.
The other one, same thing, grease on both sides of the retainer. Put it in there. I use this little pick with a 90-degree on it, and I just like press it on in the back so that they stay on. Squeeze the grease out. You can see the clips in there. One on top, one on bottom. Then when you let it go, it should look like that. And I'm just loosening it up. Hopefully they don't pop out. All of them are done. Now I can put my lifters in. Alright, I'm gonna finish assembling the head now. See how long I get up before this battery dies. Exhaust lifters. So keep lifters in the oil so that no air gets in them, and so that they stay nice and loose. You always want to squeeze them before you put them in. Make sure they're nice and loose. Alright, so next I'm going to put the camshafts in. It's kind of the same process as taking the head off. You put the camshaft in and you tighten it in, out. So, reverse of what you did taking the head off, but nothing to it. I got the head propped up on one side so the valves don't touch the table. Don't want to bend the valve. Alright, I got the head all together. My John high lift camshafts. 272 with a 9.3mm lift. Got my Tome adjustable cam gears on the front. It's also at the top dead center. Right. Got my ARP head studs in, all greased up. So I'm just ready to put the head on now. Again, at top dead center. You can see, you might be able to see the little dot there. Yeah, lined up with the dot on the oil pump. Right? Yeah, so my Tome 1.5mm head gasket. Alright, let's see how it looks with the head on it, finally. Alright, so I got my timing belt pulleys on, the tensioner and the idler. So now I just gotta put the timing belt on so don't get any contact. That one goes on intake, solid goes on exhaust, and this other solid lines up with the crank. Sometimes this can be a bit of a pain. Hopefully this one isn't too bad. So what I've seen is you want this to be tight enough that you just do a quarter turn. So I don't feel, I'm gonna say right there. I can always adjust it later. Just make sure to check it again. After I torque the head down properly. Yeah, so if you follow the manual, I'm actually doing this a little bit backwards. I put the cams in first, but you're supposed to put the cams in after you put the head on. But I don't know. I felt that it was I don't know, a little bit easier on the mind knowing the cams are in top dead center when you put it on the head, or when you put the head on, and the same thing with the crank. So you don't have to worry about hitting your valves on your pistons. But there could be a reason they do it the way they do it, but I guess I'll find out. So motor's one piece now. Yeah, so this is where we're stopping for now. Unfortunately, I don't have the right socket to be able to go down in that hole. It needs to be a 12-point socket with a 13mm, I believe, and I don't have one, so unfortunately this is where I'm leaving it. I might mock up my turbo manifold, but I'm not sure yet, so we'll see. I'm glad I have head studs because I would not be comfortable leaving the engine like this, but should be fine. Looks awesome. Catch you in the next one, I guess.